I got a call from Tony, who was about to leave the band, Sabbath. Sabbath was going to disband as a band, which didn't necessarily mean that Geezer and Tony weren't going to play together again, or that Tony and Bill wouldn't have been in that band. But we talked just one-on-one, and he told me what was going to happen, and I had just left the band that I was in at the time. So we talked very energetically about what we thought we were going to do and that we might like to do something together. I was invited out into the makeshift studio, and we went out, and as musicians do, we turned up all the amplifiers and bang, and got in front of the microphone, and we wrote a song that night, which turned out to be one of the songs from the album that I subsequently did on Heaven and Hell.
You see the writing in the air. Die young, gonna die young. Someone stopped the fear.
A song that was written in Miami where we were recording the Heaven and Hell LP. And just a collaboration between Tony and myself in one of the bedrooms with a guitar and a germ of an idea, and just took it to fruition. Just did it the same as we do most songs. The idea starts with a small idea and grows into a full concept. Neon Nights, which was the final track that we recorded for Heaven and Hell, was done in Paris. The song began in Geezer's house when he lived just outside of Birmingham, a place called Clouds Top. And it was just, wow, we've got to write another song, lads. Oh, okay, fast one, slow one, fast one. Okay, whew, that was good, made that decision, let's have a drink. Went down to the pub and we were very happy.
Time again to save us from the jackals of the street. Right
all sitting around in a restaurant preparing for the show the next day, which was another sold-out stadium job, 100,000 people, and the tour was going so well, and we were all really happy about everything. They brought the phone there, and I don't remember who, probably me. Yes, hello? What? No. Bill's decided to turn around. He's not going to Denver. He's going to L.A., and he's not going to come back again, and just didn't know what to do. We had to cancel that show.
Well, Bill left on tour because he was having really severe alcohol and drug problems. And this one day he just said, I've got to go home.
I just got real angry, and that was it. I couldn't do any more. It was resentment that took me off the road. It was booze, narcotics, and resentment that took me off the Heaven and Hell tour. You know, I loved Black Sabbath, and still do. I have very fond memories of that. I need to consider my realities too, outside of drumming in Black Sabbath. My priorities have changed much, you know, since I've gotten clean. You know, at one point I used to crave fame and success, and now I crave peace and quiet.
We were given some tapes, and one of the first that was given was to Tony, and it was Vinny playing in his own band. The band was called Axis, and Tony called me and said, "Boy, you've got to hear this kid. He's great." So we went over to the hotel that Tony was staying at, which is in Los Angeles again, and listened to Vinny and just said, "Yeah, no problem. That's it. That sounds like the person to me."
It was a surprise to me, you know, and that's where I first met Ronnie and everyone else, and from there we just had a couple of days to rehearse, and then the first gig we played together was in Hawaii at Aloha Stadium in front of like 30,000 people. So they asked me to stay, you know, and that led to doing the next album, which was The Mob Rules. And the rest is history.
The end of Black Sabbath for me in, I guess it must have been 1983. At that point, I just think that emotionally, again, from working such a long time and touring for the 3 years or so and recording 2 albums back to back within a 4-year period, it just got a little bit too much for all of us to take. And I think that perhaps maybe our success or our attitude about how important we were was maybe perhaps a little bit wrong. Proves now again that the strength was always in the numbers. The strength was in the fact that we did what we did together.
We brought Ian Gillan into the band for Born Again album, and that band really was put together on paper. We'd never rehearsed.
And we were mismanaged by Don Arden at the time, so he suggested getting Ian Gillan into the band. Ian Gillan, how the bloody hell is that going to sound like?
I thought, I mean, Ian's, you know, he still is. He's a great friend, and I still speak to him a lot. I think he's a real good vocalist. Certainly identifiable, his voice is. But I think within the Sabbath fold, it was really difficult for him to have to come into a band from like Deep Purple to Black Sabbath, because we were both in the 70s rivals.
What a start to a tour. Unbelievable. We had a great time. It was fantastic. I was the worst singer Black Sabbath ever had. It was totally incompatible with any music they'd ever done. I didn't wear leathers. I wasn't of that image. I loved Tony, loved Geezer, and Bev, I guess, was incongruous as well as far as the band was concerned. But by God, we had a good year. I think the fans probably were in a total state of confusion. And the songs, I think, were quite good. Born Again, Zero the Hero, Disturbing the Priest, Digital Bitch, Trashed, you know, a lot of good stuff on there.
I just got totally disillusioned with the whole thing, and I left sometime in 1984 after the Born Again tour. I just had enough of it.
After the
3 or 4 albums that we did, Guys decided to try other things, and then we just carried on. Me and Tone put a thing together, which was supposedly a solo album, which ended up being Seventh Start, and it just went on from there.
Cold is the night, long at your door. Cry for the light, for the love that won't come. You said that you'd never leave me alone. I gave you my heart, you cried for my soul. An angel won't come, this devil won't go. Something is wrong, I just can't get away. Living on the streets, I'm no stranger to love. Why can't you see I'm no stranger to love? Living on the streets, I'm no stranger to love. I'm a stranger in your arms. Yes, I'm a stranger in your arms. Maybe it's right, but I just can't understand the how I feel for my love secondhand. No, I should leave, but I just can't walk away. Living on the streets, I'm no stranger to love. Why can't you see I'm no stranger to love? Living on the streets, I'm no stranger to love. I'm a stranger in your arms. Oh yes, I'm a stranger in your arms. Living on the streets, I'm no stranger to love. Why can't you see I'm no stranger to love? Living on the streets, I'm no stranger to love.
It was weird doing No Strangers to Love because it was sort of a real different thing to what we've been used to over all the years of Sabbath, you know. But again, it was interesting because it was a bit different. I didn't exactly want to be the front figure in that at all, but it came about that that's who it was. I'd have rather just been one of the band and that's it.
Living on the streets, I'm no stranger to
Eternal Idol followed on from that, trying to Ray Gillen come in to replace Glenn Hughes halfway through the Seven Star tour. He recorded the next album, then left. So we had to get Tony Martin in at the last sort of minute, and he did the vocals on that.
The Shining was a track that was, well, a riff that was floating around for a while from when Keys and myself parted with Ian. We had that riff, we started playing around with it. And I thought it was a good riff and I thought we should use it.
There's a man who sees all there is to see and what the future holds for all. As the days grow dark was his soul and final warning. Beware of the one with invisible friends, they will steal into your mind. And all too soon the signs begin to show.
after all the rubbish we went through from the Eternal Idol album, I signed with a new management. Phil Banfield, who was really good, and Ernest Chapman. And they really helped me a hell of a lot and sorted a lot of problems out from the past. So we decided that we need a good name band, name musicians for credibility, build the credibility up. Cozy's name's come up a few times actually over the years because we wanted to get together a long time ago.
When Bill Wood, the original drummer, decided to go on to pastures new, and Tony asked me to phone me up and ask me if he'd like me to come along and join the band. And at that point, I was working with another band called Rainbow, and it was just a little difficult to suddenly jump ship and move on to into the Sabbath situation, so I turned it down, which was probably a very bad move on my part, because about a year after that, I left Rainbow and was stuck on my own for a while. But the offer came again in 82, 83, after the Ronnie Dio era, and then again in 1985, 86. And by this time, I'd had a couple of years working with ELP, which turned out to be a bit of a disaster in the end. And decided that I really would like to get involved with Tony on a more permanent basis and get involved with Sabbath.
Cozy came to my house and stayed with me for a month, and we just, put bits and dabs down on tape and swapped ideas.
We just pushed the thing together from there and worked on the situation from that point, and spent about 6 months trying to get the feel of the new album, which was subsequently called The Headless Cross, together. And then it all just came from there. We got the initial tracks done. We got Neil Murray, which is a bass player that I used to work with before. He came involved, and Jeff Nichols did some keyboard work on the album. So we pulled the thing together from a very shaky start. And from there, we then went on to the next album and so on. And it came together quite quickly once we'd started. It just needed a little bit of a steadying action, which I'm pleased to say I got involved with from that point.
The chapter is opened, the pages are torn. The writing say many things, but who was concerned?
Many people, when they think of Sabbath, have got a definitive idea in their head what Sabbath means to them. And maybe they grew up with the band, maybe they had a particular track on an album that really changed their life. Again, when you've got a band that goes back so far, there's going to be so many different parts of the music that are going to affect you in some way. And again, at the end of the day, you have to have the ultimate goal, which is what Sabbath is all about. And that's really what we're trying to do to continue the story. Where the story will end, my guess is as good as anybody else's.
This all began in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I was doing a show there with my own band, with a band called Dio. And Geezer came to the show, and I told him he couldn't come to the show unless he brought his bass, because he had to play. So he said, okay. So he brought his bass, which got lost on the airplane, of course. So he had to borrow another one, but he did play. And just from that beginning, I mean, it was wonderful. It was like we played together forever when we hadn't really played in 10 years or 11 years together. And nothing really had changed. And then, of course, the most important part came. We went back to the dressing room and hoisted a few. And that ended up being, hey, let's get back together again. This is great. You know, the way those things go.
I think that was about the last song that I put the bass down to. We had the guitar part and we had the drum part. And I just couldn't think of what bass to come up with. And then the day before Ronnie put the vocals down, I just went in and just whizzed away on the bass, and it worked. And Ronnie went in the next day and finished it off with the vocals and lyrics and stuff.
He guarantees you instant glory. Get your money on the line. Gotta send me a plastic Jesus. There's a check in the mail today. That's what I need somebody to know.
It's taken a while to put it together with all the, you know, the ups and downs we've had. You know, getting back together again as a team, you know, to work as a team when we've all had our own individual bands, really. I mean, Ronnie had his own, Geezer was off with Ozzy. You know, we had to come back together and be a unit again.
It was like we never left. It was really weird, you know, meeting everybody again after 10 years. It was really smooth, and it was like good friends again, you know. So actually everyone's kind of matured a little bit more now, and things are real smooth.
TV crime! TV crime!
I think Vinny was probably more surprised than anyone about the song, because he had gone, he had left after laying the basic track down. He left about 6 weeks before we had really finished doing guitars and the rest of the vocals. So I'm sure Vinny was as interested and as shocked as hearing the song, what it turned out to be.
When Ronnie came home and brought me the tape, and I put it on and listened to the finished product, it blew me away, you know. It's got so much energy, and it's just real frantic. So it came out great, really great.
Finally finished it all up, and we didn't know what to call it, so I made a list of about 20 different names. And we wanted, rather than pick one song to have the title of the album, we wanted one title to sum the whole album up. And I came up with Dehumanizer, and everybody else liked that.
I like the song very much. I think Computer got it. I mean, it's such a different song from what it used to be called. it wasn't as hectic as it is now. It's very forceful now. It's very aggressive, and it wasn't aggressive before. And that again was a reason why we needed a lot of time to listen to what we had done and then rethink it. Say, oh no, it's not quite right. Let's change it. So it was changed completely. I mean, totally, lyrically, melodically, from what it was in its inception.
Take a look at your own reflection right before your eyes. It turns to steel.
Some of the lines in the song say it all. The computer says, man's a mistake, so we'll fix it. And let's hope that we're not around when they want to fix us. But no, I think the song it says exactly what it has to say. It's modern, and it speaks of things to come, if not things that are already.
This way to technical paradise. Find it on the other side when the walls fall down.
It's all finished now, dehumaniser. Probably be out by the time this video is. And we'll be out backing it up on tour throughout the world.
She's the wind and the fire of burning yesterdays can only light the way to lead you from the garden of the dark.
Well, hope to, the usual, we'll hope to see you out there on the road there, and hope you enjoy the album. Play it loud.
Chains around. Today is never gone. Tomorrow never comes. Come on and jump, yeah, into the hurricane.
It's going to be a wonderful year for us to be able just to play again under the confines of these people in this band who are just so phenomenally good. It certainly made my life very easy as a singer.
The promises now, they're only lies and broken dreams.
I think now we got the old lineup back, it feels right, you know. And I think it'll be good for the fans out there as well to see that band back together, and you know, hopefully we can give you all what you want.
We are on the road with the Dehumanizer tour.